everybody. Welcome to the Shot Clock Podcast bonus edition. It's Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. and we've just gone live on Apple Podcasts. So to coincide with that and to coincide with International Women's Day on Monday, today is the referees edition. So without further ado, it's Catriona White.
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Shot Clock Podcast with me, Jerry Jago. Today's guest is a former Waterford Wildcat and Leicester player, one of my favourite referees. Hopefully she'll remember this next year when she's refereeing me. Catriona, welcome to the podcast. How are you? How are you finding COVID?
Yeah, I'm okay. Best foot forward. I still have a full-time job. And my kids are at an age where they can do their own thing, homeschooling. My youngest is 9, so she doesn't need too much of a steer. I'm still kind of training away on my own. I miss the social aspect of basketball. I obviously miss the teammates. But yeah, it's been okay. I miss going home. Like, I have still a lot of family in Waterford, so that's the bit. I haven't seen anyone since Christmas. But we check in regularly, and thank God for social media, really. But okay, yeah, doing well.
That's good. That's good. So, as we said, you started out with Waterford Wildcats, but my question to you now is, who, what or why inspired you to pick up a basketball?
There was no who, what or why, really. It was an announcement in school when I was in first year. About 80 of us turned up, and really it was just to get out of class. But then I met Evelyn Hearn, God rest her soul. Evelyn would have been our first coach, and Jerry Fitzpatrick. So they were the first two people that I met that kind of invested time in us. So about 80 started, and I think I'm right in saying I'm the only one still playing. And that was probably back in the early 80s.
Right. Okay. We won't say how long ago or when exactly. And Jerry Fitz, what a great coach.
Yeah, he was fantastic. People have different opinions in Jerry. I have nothing but good things to say. He was a hard taskmaster, but years ahead of his time. He came back from America probably with a lot of ideas, and then having sports psychology background probably helped. Very advanced in his coaching techniques. We were probably, at the time when we were very successful, probably one of the fittest teams in the country. Like, we ran teams off the floor, and we didn't even realize, because a lot of the stuff was with ball work. We spent an awful lot of time on the track then, early pre-season. We made use of the sand dunes out in Tremor. We did an awful lot of that. And then we had a mandatory circuit training session every Tuesday night. So your basketball boots didn't come with you. So you kind of knew that was just hard work. And it was like medicine ball work, skipping, toe taps and push-ups, sit-ups, all those kind of things. But you did them as a team. So it never felt really like it was that hard.
Excellent. Yeah, he was ahead of his time. I have to agree with you on that one. You've played for Wildcats. You then moved up to Leicester, up to Dublin. Who was your favourite teammate, or is there more than one from the teams that you've played with?
Oh, well, there'd have to be more than one. You couldn't just say one, but like, obviously the standouts would be Gillian Hayes, Michelle Maguire, Chris Kiley, but we were friends as well as teammates. Back then, like, you really hung around outside basketball with your teammates. They held a lot of secrets for you, but I think that helped then gel you on the floor, because you actually cared about setting screens for people. Your help defense was better than normal. Like, if you were just playing a pickup game, you're not so committed. Up in Leicester then, Carmel Cassan. I suppose the cup winning team that I played on in 2005 would have been with the bones of Ciara Fenton. She's such a great teammate. Siobhan Kendi, Carmel Kazan, Orla Dempsey, Emer Brophy, Lisa Grinnell, Gillian Ennis. They're all just such lovely girls. And then Suzanne Maguire. But it depends if you're talking about Irish teams. Like, I'm thinking, I just wrote down Lorraine O'Brien and Vanessa Burke were two of my favourite roommates. But that's nothing to do with actually basketball play. It's keeping you sane between games. You're at training camp in France. You're having a bit of a wobbler because the coach is on your case, so you had a bad performance. And these are the girls. Rachel Kelly was the same. I roomed with Rachel as well. And it's just like, the list is endless. I have best friends, are great friends, and loads of teams like Lindsay Pete. I mean, she's inspiring still. And I just love playing with her because she's great crack too.
You know, Lindsay's somebody who I would absolutely kill to get on this, because, like, who can say they represented Dublin, they've represented Ireland at soccer, they've represented Ireland at rugby, they've represented Ireland at basketball, and they've won it all, regardless of what sport they play. Like, she is a one-off. She's unbelievable, and still so underappreciated and so underrated within all sporting genres in Ireland. Like, she's not talked about enough.
Yeah, I totally agree. I got her to play in the Dublin Masters a number of years ago, and like, I think some of the teams were nearly going to refuse to play because she just had finished playing the Six Nations. But look, the rules are there, and she just fit the brief barely. I know she turned 40 just recently, so she'll probably kill me for saying that, but she was a guest in the women's side. She guessed it. But she takes sport, no matter what, like as a master player, it was still as competitive as if it was a cup final. But the joy she brings during the game is in the crack off the court. Like Elaine Scally, Sharon Kelly, you can't buy that kind of crack. So we're playing basketball and we're taking the game serious. But there is that kind of undertone of mischievousness, or, you know, just ripping the.
You've mentioned some mischievous players, all right there in that last, like, that's a night out. Just with 4 or 5 of those people, that's a night out that's going to start Friday and possibly end the following Thursday.
That's like The Hangover, if you can compare to a film. Like, honest to God, we've only played in Dublin. We have spoken about going abroad as a team of Wild Rovers, which is a combination of Wildcats, Talca Rovers, and we kind of stuck it together. We do have a couple of guests like Karen Hennessy wanted to join our crew, and sure, how could you not have Karen Hennessy and Eileen Bradley? So, I mean, and then we have the likes of Hannah Hastrop. She played with us as well. I would have known Hannah as well. So, I mean, it's not like a closed door. Anyone can kind of ask to play, or I literally go around scouting people because I get short. But they're all brilliant. They just do. Do you know what they do? They do what they do really well. So we'd be really good role players. But we all come together and just do our role. And it's something, even at our age, people just jaw drop watching what we can still do on the floor. And they're like,
so what are you, six-time Dublin Masters winners? Is it 6?
Well, I'm actually not sure. I think 6. Yeah, whatever amount of years we've played in it, we've won it every other year. And I had played with Glasnevin the year it started in Dublin. Myself and Suzanne guested for Glasnevin, and we won it the year before. So myself and Suzanne have won all of them, if that's a thing. Wow. But yeah,
up there with the St. Declan's men's team.
Party hard. Sorry.
Up there with the St. Declan's men's team, Eddie Gelson, Al Kennedy, Tony McDonough. I think they're 6-time winners.
Declan's, in fairness, they probably don't party as hard as us on the Saturday night, though.
No,
you know, we
take our basketball seriously.
Yeah, well, they wait till the Sunday. They do go on a mad one on the Sunday, but we tend to do both, and I always suffer on the Sunday, always.
Look, roll on the next one, and we can party together. Yeah. That's the big thing.
Yeah, true.
So you played against. You've mentioned some of them there. You played with and against some of the legends of Irish women's basketball. Who was the toughest person you've had to guard in those years, and who guarded you the hardest when you were playing?
That's a good question. I'd say June Blount. June was just dogged herself. Angie McNally, Michelle Aspel, and Siobhan Kilkenny. They just like so quick, feisty, sneaky, extra talented. I think it's very difficult to guard someone that can actually shoot the ball and can go to the basket, you know. So where, you know, most people are one-trick ponies, or they prefer one thing over the other. These girls seem to have, well, Angie would have been mid-range, but like Aspel can knock threes and she can go to the basket, take ridiculous contact. June had a special pair of elbows, which I kind of like to say I mimicked.
I think that's genetic, though. I think every Blount I've ever met, from Gary, Lord of Mercy on him, to Pat, to June, to Andy, to my teammate Connor, Jordan now I've seen throw a few bows as well. I think it's genetics, to be honest with you.
You could be right. I've been accused of having a lethal few elbows, but I think it's just whatever way you... And they maybe played against each other, so you could be right. But again, the technique of learning how to rip through and all that, is not tolerated in the game, because now we have an offensive cylinder and defensive cylinders, and like you can't plug anyone with an elbow these days, or you know, even to clear your space. All that is gone now, which is kind of mad, because you're trying to leave people play. So who would have guarded me the hardest? I would like to say, think like Nikki O'Brien. The two O'Briens actually super players and lovely girls. Who else? Lindsay was just horrendous, because like, no, she wouldn't be really marking me, but she'd turn up somewhere in the mix. Mary Fitzpatrick, even though I played with her, because we trained so hard, like I used to leave training, and I don't think I've met anyone played against that could prepare you rather than her. There was no one that was harder to, because she was relentless. And she used to say, because she was a lot older than we were, once you're on the 4 lines of the basketball court, age, she doesn't see age. And that kind of resonated with me, because I'm still playing like, say, D1 standard now, and I'm playing against girls that are a lot younger, and their parents are shouting at me on the sideline, and I'm thinking in my head the Mary Fitz kind of thing, going, if she's on the floor and if she thinks she's good enough, it's game ball, you know. So it's hard to kind of, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And here's a question I haven't had to ask or got to ask yet on the podcast. Coming from your playing background to now refereeing, do you see a difference in the contact and the way the game has evolved, you know, internationally and at home?
Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to clean up the game. I can understand cleaning up the game. I think players are making better referees because they have a feel for the game. So we talk at conference and stuff, and again, the influx of foreign referees and people that have come into Ireland, like the likes of Magic, Dave Kabaya, their FIBA. You have Marius who played, you have Aramis who played, they played for Ballon, but like Aramis played for his country and he was a professional player. So you have these type of referees, and then you have the textbook referees, and you have a mix of us both. So the interpretation of the rules is what's more important than the actual rule. So say, like, you know, you're going to the basket, there's a slight contact. For me as a player, let me try finish first. Stop pulling us back. I saw it even in the NBA. I was watching a game just yesterday. They stopped the play just because there was a bit of a bump, but your man was after passing the ball, clean layup, and I was like, so it is. And then as a referee, you're always being assessed, and they kind of query your decision making. So I've had to learn to stop thinking as a player and more so of the actual rule. But it's not a popularity contest, but I think if you're doing the job fair and you're transparent, and I think you can get on a lot better. Like, I think that's why Tony was so good. His communication, to mind the rules. He could have bluffed some of the rules, but it's the way he spoke to people. You trusted him, that when he made the decision.
But like you said there, he spoke to people. I find that, like, I've been playing the game 30 whatever years. The old school referees, the Denise Rice, Paul Rice, Tony Burks, the Joe Robinsons, there was a conversation there when, you know, like, I watched back our under-19 cup final, and at one point, obviously the referees are mic'd up, and there was an elbow thrown. Noel Clark threw an elbow, and you can see Joe put his hand up to his whistle, and you can still hear it on the coverage. He's like, "Clarky, get your elbow out of there," and Clarky answers him back, and Joe just goes, "I don't fucking care, get your elbow out." And I'm like, that's how the game should be refereed. Have a word. It's not always as direct as black and white, whistle, that's what it is. Let it play. And to be fair, you as an ex-player, and is it Sarah
Gobali,
that, like, you've refereed a lot of my games 2 years ago, the two is either separately or together, and I always felt that there was enough scope there to go and have a word once you didn't cross the line. But you made it, and Sarah made it abundantly clear that you're at the line now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to walk away. So I was like, oh, there's the look. Catriona's giving me the look. I'll just back off now and leave it. Let somebody else take up the fight.
But the look is worth a foul. Do you know what I mean? The look is worth you staying on the court.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how you choose to listen to what referees have to say a lot of the time. And a lot of the young people are so in their feelings and they're hot-headed. They don't get the hint. When you're saying number 10, I'm watching you, and then number 10 gets called, I was like, I just told you I was watching you. How many more times do I have to watch you? Do you know what I mean? And I think they don't appreciate how difficult refereeing is. Like I get asked to do games for preseason and stuff, and I'll come along and I could be the only referee. I remember Mark Keenan asked me to do Temple Ogan UCD when the rules there was a few rules changes a couple of years ago, and I rocked into the arena and I was the only referee there, and I'm like, so we had the likes of Conor Grace was back, Jay Clean was there, we had the Jameses, we had Scott Kinnivan, and I was like, oh my God, I think even Kev Foley might have been playing. So I'm going, how in the name am I going to referee all these guys together at the one time? So look, they took it on the chin, and there was a few dirty looks when there was a call not given, because I'm going to leave, it was advantage, disadvantage with one referee. I'm not blowing the game, like.
No, you'd be still there now.
I remember pulling Conor Grace aside at halftime and actually trying to tell him about setting screens, because when he set a screen, he rolled and brought half the team with him. And I was like, if you do that in the league, you are going to be offensive all day, every day. And lo and behold, that's what happened.
So you've played a while, you're a referee now. Have you any basketball superstitions? Because basketball players seem to pick them up over the years. Do you have any game day superstitions or routines?
The only thing is I bless myself before I play, but it's not a big down on the floor. It's just something really personal. It might be even when I'm in the changing room or whatever, just a little bless myself. Just like my parents are deceased, I just kind of always think of them. Just give me strength and patience, depending on who you're playing against. And now I'm getting to the stage, because of my age and everything, I'm like, every time I come out of training, I always say, no injuries now. Every time you come off the floor to put, and my daughter thinks it's hilarious, because I've played, she's playing for Liffey Celtic now, which I forgot to say I did play. 2011 we won the National League. That's how they got promoted. So she plays for them, so we'd often play. So it's, thankfully I'm not injured. It's the gratitudes at this stage.
Oh, every time I can come off the court in one piece and not hobbling too much, I'm happy.
Yeah. It's the little wins.
It is the little ones. It's more the next morning when you wake up and you put your feet in the ground and you go, no pain. This is all right. I can deal with this. So, have you a favourite shoe that you wear? A favourite on-court shoe, or if you could call whatever company it was and say, this is the shoe I want to play in for the rest of my life, what would be your favourite shoe?
I'm torn between Kobe's and Kyrie's. They're the shoes I've worn since, I had Kobe's up to about two years ago, and I have a couple of sets of Kyrie's, but they just suit my feet. I like low cuts, mid cuts. I can't deal any no high shoes at all. So I have a few pairs of each. I did stray and got a pair of PGs, Paul George's. Not for me. So they're just thrown in a box. But the Kyrie's.
I better write that down. No to PGs.
No, they're just too rigid. There's no kind of bounce in them, and they're just they're just not good shoes. But definitely for me, and I know Scally had Kyrie's. She asked me where I got a pair. They're just like little gloves.
Actually, her pick was her original pick was a pair of pumps, because she won an All-Star game MVP at Kelvin Troy's camp over her sister Denise and Claire, so she'd love a pair of them. But now she wears Kyrie's. Yes, Kyrie's and KD's were her two picks.
Yeah. No, KD's, no, God, no. I love KD, don't get me wrong. He's one of my favourite players, but his shoes, not so much.
Right, so we're going to the gym. It's you and 4 others for a pickup game. Anybody you've played with or against from your years in the league, who are we taking to the gym? Winner stays on.
I was thinking, oh God, where are we going with this one? Because are we going to the Bronx to play? Because we could have a different line out.
Where do you want to play?
Okay, so if it was just a normal game, you'd have to. I was thinking balance of players. So, and I didn't want to insult anyone. So I'm picking Lindsay P all day, every day. And I'm going to have Gillian Hayes all day, every day. And I'm going to have Suzanne Maguire. And I'm going to have Michelle Aspel.
Right, okay. So you're on the court for the day. Is that what you're telling me? Like, there's nobody else getting the game?
Well, look, if that was the 4 and me, that's the 4 or 5 of us. So it's positional. I can play inside out. Suzanne can play inside out. Jill is inside. And then we have Lindsay can do 1, 2, 3, and then Aspel can do 1, 2, 3. Aspel probably can do what she likes. So, I mean, I'm trying to be kind of tactical, but like I went and played European basketball, the European Championships with the Garda team, and on that team I had Gillian Morris, Angeline Myers, which is Sean Jenkins' mom, Mary Gardner, Marie Flynn from over in the West. She plays she was playing out in, where was she playing? Not Lions. What's that team in purple? No, Marie Flynn.
Not Mercy Down talk, is it?
No, oh, they're going to kill me because I ref some of their games. She ref with joy. Who else? Kat O'Connell that used to play at Brunel. And then we had Michelle Fahy, and Sinead Vaughan. So, I mean, that was our Garda team.
Wow.
Yeah, with Catherine Canty and then Michelle Conway thrown in, and Alana Lowe. So Alana Lowe played with Wildcats as well. So we had a pretty good Garda team. So we won the gold in Ireland.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we beat France in Ireland the year we won the gold. And it was amazing because like our Garda commissioner had come to watch play. Not a clue he had what was going on. But they were really hard for the whole tournament. They wouldn't interact with other police forces. And the whole idea of that tournament was kind of to get to know other women in sport. We had Greece there. The Netherlands team were there. The English team were there. And the French went to training camp. They were sponsored by Nike. They had been in training camp for a month before it. We got to Templemore for one day. And my daughter Isabella was born on the 25th of September, and we played that tournament on the 23rd of October. So she was less than a month old. So Frank Tracy was our coach, and Frank's like, "Are you going to be able to play?" And I went, "I'm just going to pad everything. I'm just going to pad myself, and we'll just play." And I ended up scoring 20 points in the final. Nice. And like Isabella was 3 weeks old. It was gas.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a serious team.
Oh, honest to God, Gillian Morris, who's not a point guard, was our point guard. Like Fahy had a tore hamstring. Angeline, like, is just gas. She would take someone out and glare at them. Like, she would be borderline disqualification tackles is what I'd call them. And Mary Gardner would stick her head in where you wouldn't stick your head in. And God, if I didn't mention Adele Cadam, so Adele would be up there, Longford kind of direction. So Adele Cadam was super athletic as well. So yeah, we had a really, really good team. But again, like that, we had, on paper, we were the underdogs because the French were so smooth. And we had to, like Mary Gardner is a community policewoman, and you probably know her. She's doing all this Jerusalem stuff for the guards recently. Like she went around the local pubs and, you know, the credit union to get sponsorship for us for gear. And here we had the Nike brigade coming in from France, and we were like,
unbelievable.
Yeah. But it was great.
Gillian Morris, the sun baller back in the day. She was unreal. She was my era. She was Nave Guerra when I was Notre Dame. So yeah. Gillian's a good girl. Know her a long time.
It was great. And I ended up playing Gaelic football with her. She convinced me to play Gaelic football when I came up to Dublin, because I was playing with her at the basketball team anyway in Leicester. So she got me to play Gaelic football. I was playing for about 8 years, and I absolutely hated it. But it was just to get to know people. It was just to get to know people, because I didn't like, I realized after, I don't like the smell of cut grass. I don't like being wet. I don't like being mucky. I don't like being untidy. And then the refereeing was crazy. There was one guy, I was looking around going, there's one referee on a pitch, and he's all the way up here, and I'm down here with this one. And I got my hair, my ponytail pulled. I got kicks in the Achilles. And then I got dig in the ear, and I was like, did you just box me in the ear? And like, it was just mental.
Right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about music.
Yeah.
Who are your top 5 musical artists of all time? Who can't you live without on your iPod or in your ears?
Lord. God, I have a real mixed bag, and it's really embarrassing. So I have people like Elton John and Freddie Mercury, right? Then I have Stevie Wonder, Adele, and Diana Ross. So and Whitney Houston. So like,
there's nothing embarrassing about that pick at all.
Yeah, they're just amazing vocalists. Now that was kind of old school, but then I have a kind of a new genre. So I'm mad into Khaled, and I love The Weeknd at the moment, and Romy. He's really good. He has the old R&B vibe. Alicia Keys. There seem to be all these powerful women. Emily Sandé. But I love going to gigs. So like, I was at Walking on Cards. I have tickets. Yeah, I have tickets for Stormzy. I'm yet to go see Stormzy. So I mean, yeah, I went to see Drake. Where else did I go? Like, you could see me at a rock concert, but you could see me at any other kind of concert as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of, yeah, I'm a bit confused in the musical genre.
Right, so
I have to say, I went to Ricardo's 50th birthday. I just messaged him last night. His playlist for his birthday, his 50th birthday, was unreal. I asked him, like, did he have a playlist? Because I wanted it. Because I didn't get off the dance floor all night, myself and Sharon Kelly, but he didn't. The DJ kind of just went with the vibe of what was on the floor. Should have seen what was on the floor.
Why did I miss Rick's birthday? I was supposed to go down that weekend.
Yeah, I actually refereed a game, and I left Sharon Kelly mind Tony Burke. That didn't happen. I came back. I refereed in Killarney, so I went to the game. Mary G actually commissioned it. So she drove me to Killarney. I ref the game. Colester men were playing Super League, Intra-League. So I came back. So all the Colester boys were there. Westbrooks were there. And then obviously the Tralee boys came in, Donaghy and the likes. And then you had the likes of Roscoe, Rick, and then I think Rob Lynch had come down, and there was a great crew. Calvin Troy was there. I think Paul Dick was there. Was he, or was Mimi there? There was such a good crew anyway. Sharon Kelly was just in great form. I left her at the bar, and I left to go ref a match, and when I came back.
But see, your mistake there is you're leaving. Who's in charge there? Is Sharon in charge? Is Tony in charge? Nobody's in charge.
Well, look, I hope they kind of keep each other on the path, but they didn't. They were in the ditch by the time I came back.
Yeah, you should have known better. I'm actually very surprised at you.
But I drove them both home the next day, so there wasn't a word out of Sharon Kelly on the way home.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So, next question.
Yeah.
You're the DJ. What three songs are we listening to right before we come off the court for warm-up?
Okay, well, when anyone played in Wildcats, we always had Eye of the Tiger. So that used to freak everyone out. And Jerry had us actually having this thing where we used to run around the gym kind of to mark our territory. So we used to actually run to the end line until the referee stopped us. We used to actually run past the opposition's end of the floor. Kind of like, it was like a ritual to freak them out. So that one, Salt and Pepper, Push It. I like that one. Final Countdown. I like that. Or We Will Rock You is another one.
Oh, so, yeah, they're all solid picks.
Yeah.
I like it. So,
or Eminem, Lose Yourself is always good.
Lose Yourself. Someone who said Lose Yourself? Scally threw Lose Yourself in there as well.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a 16-year-old Catriona if you could sit her down right now and let her know what's happened over the last couple of years? What advice would you give a 16-year-old you?
Well, I have a 16-year-old. There she is.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have one. She's studying for her leaving cert at the moment. She's cracking up.
God love her.
Yeah. So what would I tell her? I would say perseverance over disappointment. So everyone has their own goals or their own aspirations, and they mightn't come in the time frame that you want. Like everyone, especially modern day children, they want everything yesterday. And it's a thing about working and maybe deserving of something. So as I said to you earlier on, I was a late bloomer. So I was overlooked for, as the time then was under 16, under 17 Irish teams. Under 15, under 17 it was back in Ireland. I was overlooked. I was very disappointed, but I was in a club and a team that had so many good players like Trish Nolan, Gillian Hayes, Chris Kiley. Like they were all on Irish teams, and I couldn't understand why I was never getting picked. So I decided to just, again, spend the summer out working everybody. So the things that I could control, which would be my fitness, my strength, and obviously my skills. So I kind of started to figure out and look at the players, like comparative players. Like, why are they on the team and I'm not on the team? So I actually rang Jerry Fitz and asked him, why am I getting overlooked? And it was one of the first times he was actually stuck for words, because I can smell bullshit from a mile off, and I always have done. So in fairness to him, he got back to me and he just said that I was laterally quick. So defensively, I could mark everybody, but like running up and down, I wasn't as quick as he would like. And he wanted me to develop a shot and a couple of things. So like I took his advice and I did it. And then since then, I was never overlooked for a team after that. So that's what I would say. The disappointments I suffered, I kind of turned them into positives by just outworking everyone else, making myself shine. That, like, because I was saying to my daughter, things that, and I was only on an NBA game, it said it last night, you're not statted for things like screening. So most people who'd know, and Sharon O'Neill, who'd be down in Cork, would know, I think I broke her sternum years ago setting a screen on her. Now, that's nothing to be proud of. It was something that she had said after, or Angeline had said it, you broke her sternum. And I was like, what? But for me, setting people up, setting hard screens, hard picks, that's not quantified in a game. No. Do you know that kind of way? Your help defense isn't quantified in a game. So I would stick the body in and take the hit for someone else. I would pride myself in defense. So like, then when a coach is looking to see, you're kind of going, she's a good screener. She's a really good rebounder, you know, passer, or coachability. I say to Ellie, that's why you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen to what the coach is saying. Do what they're saying and do it to the best of your ability. I'm all about game speed. Like our sessions were crazy. The ball would be flying off the wall out of bounds because practice is where you make your mistakes. This bullshit is slowing things down and head stuck to the floor. Cracks me up. I'm after calling out some of these guys on Instagram, asking them, why are you teaching them this when their head is on the floor? What can they see? And I'd be like, I'd love to guard any of them in 1-on-1. I'd love to guard any of them. They wouldn't go anywhere. It's fancy, it's swaggy. Anyone who's worth their salt playing defense is not going, they're just going to be standing there waiting for you to do something. So for me, I would say listen and be coachable. And what else did I say? Respect players, but don't fear them. So you would have, you know, people you're coming in and you always have to be kind of saying, oh, they're really good at this. So you give them the respect that they deserve, but don't be afraid of them. So if people are up in your face or in your, you know, in your face, you have to be able to kind of figure it out, how to kind of to play with that kind of pressure. And that's both offensively and defensively. So I give people their respect, as in, like, you know, but I'm not afraid of anybody. You know, I'll just have to suck it up. Yeah.
Great advice. And you're involved with coaching as well. And, you know, I like that, be coachable. You know, listen to your coach. If somebody's giving up their time to go into a gym to teach you something, they're there for a reason. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to know that little bit more than you. Mm-hmm. So just take it on board. They're not saying things. John O'Connor said to me years ago, I remember it was an Irish team, and he was just on me for this particular weekend. And I remember coming off the court and saying, why are you always giving me grief? Mm-hmm. And he just looked at me and he went, the day I stop shouting at you is the day I stopped caring about you improving as a player.
Yeah.
He said, so always remember that. And that has stuck with me for the last 20 years. The day I stopped shouting at you is the day I stopped caring. Because he pushed me to be a better player. But like, it took that conversation, like it took the conversation with you and Jerry Fitz, it took the conversation where they went, you're good at this, get better at this.
Yeah. And that's it, self-awareness. I mean, I think another social media has ruined an awful lot of young players in relation to how aware they are, because they've been built up to be fantastic and this, that, and the other thing. And with no disrespect, but when I go to referee them, they're very ordinary because they've been built up. And I think it's maybe the coaches have been paid you know, one-on-one sessions or whatever.
Yeah.
I think you should keep it real with people. Now, you don't have to hurt their feelings. You don't have to be nasty. But like what John said to you would have resonated with when I'm playing with players. I would call them out of training. And I still do. Like I was lucky enough when the elite status came into basketball, I was lucky enough and healthy enough that Carl Kilbride, the Super League Colester team, asked me would I come training. I was still allowed to go train with them. And again, like I was calling people out because he's coaching them. I find that the natural leadership wasn't there. So I'd have no problem, you know, saying, you know, this is the way he wants it done, or that's not good enough, or the competitiveness is still in me. I might be just a little bit slower. But definitely I think John was right. And people are a little bit soft. They just need to have self-awareness.
Very good advice. I agree completely with everything you've said. So we're at our second last question, which I can't believe.
Yeah.
Dead or alive, 5 dinner guests you'd invite to your house. It can be family, friends, or famous. It's your table. They're your dinner guests. Who do you want to sit down with one more time?
Oh, God. Well, I'd love to have my parents and my brother. They're all 3 of them are deceased. So that takes up an awful lot of
that's three seats straight away.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I'm going to have different dinner dates because like my cousin Martina died quite suddenly. So I'd love to see her again. And then obviously my sister is in Waterford. I'd love to have them at my dinner table. So that's a one dinner table. But if you're talking basketball dinner tables, it's a difficult table. I had the likes of like, I love Kobe Bryant. I got a tattoo about 6 months after he died. And again, like my birthday is 24/2. So I have that on my leg and the little kind of thing, which is cute because Gigi was 2 and he was 24.
Was 2, yeah,
so I thought it was very significant. So I'd love him. I just think he's an amazing player. But him and MJ would be my favorites, and for different reasons, but very similar. Tony Burke, I would go anywhere in the world with Tony. Ricardo Leonard is one of my all-time faves as well. He's one of my good friends. And then for a bit of crack, Sharon and Elaine Scally. For entertainment alone. And my good friend Sonia in Waterford, she's a lifer. Like I know her since I'm before. So people that you just can be yourself around. I had written down silly things like Oprah Winfrey and like the likes of Fahy, Angeline, Mary G. Again, that's like the Bridesmaids kind of film. Like anything will go and everything will go, but it's just you can be yourself, and that's what I was always like this, but I just like being around people. I can just be myself, and that there's no kind of you know, you don't have airs and graces. You just can be true, and you can have an opinion about something, and even if you're a difference in opinion, it's still your opinion. You don't have to stop yourself from believing in something. Because like myself and Rick might argue, he's a LeBron James lover. I think we can argue about that. He can have his opinion, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
like who doesn't love Tony Burke?
Who doesn't love that? That's very true. I've had some great trips abroad with Tony. Their stories for a different day and a different podcast. So final question, first and foremost, Catriona, I know you're super busy. I know your shift work. As you said, you've kids homeschooling. I appreciate you giving up your time first and foremost. You're one of the people I want to go after from the start because of your experience, because you're refereeing, because everything, absolutely everything. I needed to sit down and just hear your story. And I think people are going to love it and appreciate it. But my last question is, who would you like to see in your position sitting opposite me for an episode of the Shot Clock podcast?
Are we talking Irish people or anyone?
Irish players, past or present.
Right. Okay. Well, I would love to see a mixture if you could do an split screen, but I don't know that they do, of Sandy Fitzgibbon, Rose Breen, and Caroline Ford, because they were absolute terrorists that all played with Blarney and then went on to play with Tralee. Definitely Breda Dick, and maybe I'd love to hear from Breda Dick and say Joan Black. Okay. Just to get their perspective, because they both played and they're very strong women who have a very big passion for basketball, and they're very inspiring. And who else then? You obviously have Scally and Kelly. You could have had them on together. It would have been a different kind of podcast.
No, I couldn't have had the two of them on together. No.
And then the only other person, and I had Eric Blair because Eric played for Watford, and he's just really lovely, and he's still on. I still talk to Eric on Facebook. And then obviously I'm going to say it, but keep saying it. You could have Tony Burke because I meet him often, and the man has a memory like no other. He remembers cup finals, and he can bring you in a place with his words of being in a packed Neptune, and you can actually remember being there. It's just, I could listen to him all day.
Yeah, I love being in his company.
But if you wanted to talk about the shot clock ladies, then it would obviously be Paula Kavanagh and Owen Boylan and Sarah O'Leary. Because do you know what? The ladies who do the table officiating are just as important to the game as the referees and Absolutely. As the players. Because without them, there wouldn't be a game.
There's no game.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Catriona, thanks a million for your time. Looking forward to seeing you back on the court soon. Hopefully.
No problem.
Fingers crossed.
Have you asked Lindsay, or did she agree? Because I'll just give her a shout.
Will you give her a shout for me?
Yeah.
Lovely.
So that was the Catriona White episode. Hope you enjoyed it. A little bonus for our new subscribers. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in and the feedback that I'm getting from people. It's fantastic. What started out as a bit of a selfish project seems to have caught the imagination of the Irish basketball public. So again, thank you, and we'll see you on Monday for our regular episode dropping at 8 o'clock just for you, Paul Kelleher. And for now, this is Jago saying see you on the court soon.